Yo, what's good? Welcome back to Next Gen Amolytics. Today I'll be going over week 8 of the NFL. I'll give you guys a few player props as well as some anytime touchdown scores that I like on today. I will try a new format today though. I will give you guys a floor and ceiling at which I like each player. If you're not familiar with those terms, the floor means the bare minimum at which I think they get, as well as the ceiling at which they could reach that as well. These are hypothetical. You can go lower than my floor. You can go higher than my ceiling as well. I like 5 player props and 2 anytime touchdown scores. Starting out, I like Bijan Robinson of Atlanta for his total yards here. His ceiling for me is 120 and his floor is 110 plus. He's covered the 110 plus in all but one game this year, in which he didn't cover against San Fran last week, and he's covered the 120 plus in all but 2 games on this year. Going against a Miami defense that's dead last in rush EPA, I attacked them for rushing, each week. I just attacked them last week with Junkins. But as much as Bijan's evolved in the receiving end of things with 5+ targets in each game this year, I like his total yards against them in a game that they should be using Bijan quite a bit. I think Penix is out, so Cousins should be in there. I don't think that affects anything. His usage should stay the same with Cousins in there. So again, the floor being 110 plus total yards for Bijan and the ceiling being 120 plus for him. Next up, I like Derrick Henry of Baltimore going against Chicago. In a game that Baltimore needs to win, I believe Lamar is out. Yeah, he got ruled out earlier. So they're going to have Huntley in there. This isn't a game where you have to have Huntley, be a star by any means. You give the ball to Henry 20 plus times and allow him to win you the game. You don't lose a game making Huntley make tough throws. So I believe that they use Henry quite a bit this game. He had a great game last week or 2 weeks ago, because I think they had a bye against the Rams. A good defense there. He went 24 for 122, and he should be able to do that here against Chicago. Chicago defense that allowed Genty to go 21, 138 and a touchdown. Williams of Dallas in a game that Dallas was down, he still went 10 for 76. And then you have Gibbs that went 12, 94 and 1 touchdown. I know this hasn't been the best year for Henry by any means, but he did have some tough opponents. He went 169 against Buffalo and then faced a Cleveland defense that has been shutting down everybody this year. Detroit went 12 for 50. Kansas City, they just got blown out there. That was a negative game script the whole time. And then they got blown out against Houston as well, in which it was a negative game script for them. So I believe this game script for them is neutral, if not positive, at home against Chicago. I did not say my floor for him. My bad. My floor for Henry is 70 plus rushing yards, and my ceiling for him is 80 plus. Next up, I like James Cook of Buffalo going against his Carolina defense. I get that they have been decent against the run, but they're going against a Buffalo team who loves to run the ball, and the offensive line is number 2 in run blocking win rate. Against this Carolina defense, who allowed ETN, who's Jacksonville is the number 1 offensive line and run block win rate. He went for 16 and 143. This is a game where I see Buffalo being a positive game script. They should be up in this game. You have, I believe, who's starting, because I know Bryce Young is out. It has to be Andy Dalton. So, yeah, in a game where Buffalo's coming off a bye, they lost their last 2. This is a game where they're going to respond. He had, being Cook, had 17 for 87 against Atlanta. Way better defense here than prior to that. He got shut down against New England, who has a great defense, 15 for 49. And then other than that, he had 117 against New Orleans, 108 against Miami, 132 against the Jets. And then the first game against Baltimore there, he didn't do much, 13 for 44. But as I mentioned, this should be a positive game script for Buffalo, and I expect them to feed him against Carolina here. At floor, I like him 60 plus rushing yards, and ceiling wise, I like him 70 plus rushing yards. And to mention, the Carolina defensive line there is 27th in run stopping win rate. Next up, I like Jamar Chase of Cincy. Going against the Jets, Sauce Gardner is out. I probably was going to go here either way. I believe they're going to find a way to get Chase the ball. Like right now, Flacco's only job is to get Chase the ball. And so these are games that they need to win in order to prepare when Burrow does come back this year. He went 16 for 161 last week against Pittsburgh, and then prior to that, he went 10 for 94 against Green Bay, and then 6 for 110 against Detroit. I am taking his receiving yards here. I have a floor of 70 plus, and then I have a ceiling of 80 plus in this game. I get that they might be up in this game against the Jets, but however, their neutral pass rate is top 5 in the NFL. So I believe they keep passing the ball with Flacco. That's what he can do. He can sling it, in which, you've been seeing that with Chase. He has 35 targets since Flacco came over. And the Jets are running a man coverage at a 34% rate, in which I don't believe, Sauce would have gave Chase some problems there, but outside of them, I don't see anybody, sticking him. So I like Chase here. And again, his floor being 70 plus receiving yards and his ceiling is 80 plus receiving yards. And then I will mention this one. It is a risky play here, but so I actually have 6 player props with this one. But this is my most risky one. Kamara of New Orleans going against Tampa Bay. The player at which he was splitting reps with, I believe it was Miller, got ruled out for the season. So he's going to see an uptick in usage here. I like his receiving yards against Tampa Bay. I've been attacking people with receiving yards against Tampa Bay being the running backs because they run a whole lot of 2 safety looks. And so they're giving up underneath passes and in the flat passes here. For comparison wise, you had Gibbs go 3 for 82 against them. You had Breece Hall go for 4 for 31. Bijan Robinson went 6 for 100. I believe they get Kamara involved here. I know that he hasn't had the best year by any means, but he's went over this line twice on this year. Actually, 3 times, my bad, 3 times. Because I have his floor at 15 plus, and then I have his ceiling at 25 plus. So he's reached that 25 plus 2 times. He's reached the 15 plus 3 times on this year. With Miller out, I believe this opens up the door for Kamara at home against a divisional opponent. I believe he's going to get involved. Their linebacker, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head right now, but has the worst coverage grade, across NFL of qualified linebackers on this year. So I like Kamara to get involved. It takes one, dump down and him breaking it off in order for him to cover this line. So again, with Kamara, I like a floor of 15 plus and a ceiling of 25 plus. Lastly, for my player props, I like Mahomes passing yards against Washington. This has been a Washington team that I've been attacking. Last week I did with Dak. He went 264 and 3 touchdowns. Prior to that, they allowed Penix, who has not looked good at all, to go for 313 and 2. Jordan Love went 292 and 2. Mahomes has been passing the ball quite a bit. He has 35 plus attempts his last 4 out of 5. So I'm not worried about them not passing the ball. They will be up in this game, so you can't say they will be in a positive game script and could lean on the run. However, with Kansas City top 5 in neutral pass rate, I'm not worried about that. I just told you the attempts that he has on each game. Like last week, they were killing Vegas the entire game, but he still had 35 attempts with 286 yards and a 31-0 win. And then prior to that, he had 257 against Detroit, and then 318 against Jacksonville, 270 against Baltimore. Floor-wise here from Mahomes, I like 240 plus. Ceiling-wise, I do like him at 260 plus. So those are my player props. I'll move forward into my anytime touchdown scores. I will be going back to someone who I just mentioned, being Derrick Henry. I believe they have to lean in on him on this game against Chicago. You give him the ball, and you take the result from that. You don't lean in on Huntley to make plays here. You give the ball to Henry and allow him to make plays, and I believe that he's going to score in this game. You honestly can put him at maybe 2 plus there against Chicago. They're going to need him. And then my other touchdown score, given that it is tight end week, I'm going with Kincaid of Buffalo. He's been out for a couple weeks now. He scored in 3 out of the 5 games that he's played. Carolina is horrible against tight ends. I believe they're bottom top 5 against tight ends and fantasy points wise. So I like this for Kincaid coming back for Buffalo against Carolina. Those are the player props and anytime touchdown scores that I like on this week. If you want to see the bets that I'm placing, follow me on IG at Next Name Amolytics. There you can tell whatever play it is that I play on a given week. If you like these videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let's have a good one.